Good morning, world. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Sorry, I'm having like a late start. Thought I lost my phone this morning. I turned it off, so I was calling it, and I was like, normally I go into like a mania whenever I lose two things, my phone or my keys. Go into a really, like a mania. You don't want to be around me. Start flipping out. I'm going to try something different today. I know that it's called, Uncensored, but I'm going to try to really articulate without using, So, if I feel it's necessary, I'll use it, but in the meantime, I'm just going to try to work on how I articulate things. But, anyway, the topic today is my struggles haven't changed, however my perception of them have. That's the topic of today. Meaning, whatever it is that you're going through in life, as good or as bad as they are, these things aren't going to change. They're going to continue. And I guess the main thing is how you accept it. How do you accept the fact that whatever it is that's going on in your life is not going to change? And as things come at you, how do you handle it? Like I've said before, life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. And how you react to these types of things is what dictates your livelihood. It can get you into a world of trouble, or it can get you into a world of triumph, or it could send you, or it can push the wheel in the right direction, for your future. Stop it. What we got here? At least I got gas. I gotta go to the other side of town. What is this? Alright. Really? Okay. So, I attended a group yesterday. Yesterday I went to go, I went and hung out with friends of mine, and I attended this really cool group yesterday. And it brought a lot of light onto things. And it kind of, made me kind of realize that, is are you grounded or are you searching? And I was around a lot of people from every walk of life, that are all searching, for this one common thing, and I just kind of found it as like, oh wow, and what I realized is as grounded as I thought I was, I'm still searching, and I just kind of feel like the things that I was so hyper focused on, like I said before, the material is immaterial, you're starting to realize, man, that you will never be free. You will never be free of, yourself until you can let that go. The worst thing you could ever have is you could have all the greatest opportunity and all the greatest surroundings, but if you got a poisoned mind, it's a really bad thing, because having a poisoned mind or a poisoned heart will block your blessings, and it's kind of like, would you eat the fruit that was, bore from something that was poisoned? It's probably going to be not good, bitter fruit from a poisoned tree, But, I had to come to the realization that, that the things that I put a lot of value in really have no value. real value, or the things that I'm starting to understand better or greater is that, whatever it is that you believe in, your God, his God, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You can't, I guess, make things your God. False idols, things, whatever, because if trying to accomplish something is your entire life, then that's pretty much your worship. You worship this, I'm guilty of this, you know what I'm saying? If all you're trying to do is make a whole bunch of money and this, that, and the other, but you have no family life and you have nothing outside of that, and that's the only topic of your conversation is this, then that is your worship. And there is a possibility that will block your blessings, even though you may be working to the fullest of your potential to try to make this happen. You have to create a balance where you serve your God, and your God will give you what you need, The other thing that I'm starting to learn is if this was something that you were kind of hyper-focused on and you failed, the acceptance of the fact that you failed and the acceptance of the fact that this is what God wanted. He wanted you to fail to either create a lesson or to explain to you that maybe this is not your path, or maybe this path for you is toxic, and maybe there's other ways, better ways, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm learning this right now, you know what I'm saying? This is my interpretation of what is going on. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that this is my interpretation. So what I'm learning, when I say that, my struggles haven't changed, however my perception of them have, what that means is whatever it is that you're struggling with, it happens for a reason. And this is not your will. Sometimes we can't force things to work. You know what I'm saying? It's like a square peg in a round hole, We cannot force things to work. So if you've put in the effort, you've done everything that it is in your possible, in all your, every fiber of your being trying to make this thing work, and it still doesn't work. Like, say there's this woman that you're crazy about, and you profess your love to her, and this, that, and the other, and she just doesn't care. Oh man, she's probably a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And she's probably a bitch for a reason. It's not meant to be. Or if you're trying to, get this new promotion at work, and you're working 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 and you're working, and it just doesn't come. It was not meant to be. So at the end of the day, we're all at that same fork in the road. Now we're pissed. So now we start blaming people. We start blaming people for our shortcomings. No. No, you're going to blame God for that? You're going to blame him because you failed? Did you really fail because it was God's fault, or did you fail because you were arrogant? Or did you fail because you didn't obey the signs? You know what I'm saying? I know all this because I'm guilty of it. So, again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is my observation. And I just kind of feel like, you know what do you got to lose? Let's try something different. If this doesn't work, well, I tried it my way, it's not working. You know what I'm saying? Let's try it God's way. So, a friend of mine, she's a Muslim. And I'm not a Muslim, I'm Catholic. However, she makes some really good, valid observations. And she brought it to my attention where she was like, you're really good at what you do. I think you're really smart. But I never hear you talk about God, ever. And I kind of told her, I'm like, well, I don't really have a relationship with him. And I kind of told her, I'm like, I don't really even know if, I don't even know if he even knows me. As crazy as that sounds. And sometimes I kind of feel like I'm being wiped the floor with, or made an example of, or laughed at, because of my failure. Sometimes it's like, we feel like because of our failures that, somebody's turning the knobs and laughing at us. It's like, okay, well, kind of like what I was describing earlier, it's like I tried, to the best of my ability, to the point where it almost put me in the hospital on trying to get the next level in life. And then when you get to the next level in life, a decision that I made crippled me and put me back to the first level. So it's like, what did you go through all this for? Was that you or was that God? Because that was me that made that decision that crippled me. Oh my God. And so what she was saying was, it's like, I never hear you talk about, I never hear you talk about your relationship with your Lord. She's like, I'm not trying to tell you who to obey, but I'm just saying, I never hear you talk about your relationship with who you worship. I'm like, I don't really have that. And she's like, well, do you think that you kind of worship what you do? I'm like, I don't know. And it's like, you need to think about that. And you need to kind of think about, the things that you do. Do you think that the things that you do define who you are? Or are you just doing it for your own self-satisfaction? But at the end of the day, that can be considered toxic, because these are things that you are worshiping. If this is your whole life, She's like, if you were to maybe just take a step back, talk to your Lord, whoever He is, about what your real issues are, and ask Him to get you to the finish line instead of beating your head against the wall trying to make these things happen, which may not be meant for you. Maybe you need to try something different. Maybe something that's not so against the grain, or maybe since you've been doing it your way, maybe your way's the wrong way. It's okay to accept that. I'm not a Bible thumper, and I'm not trying to push this on you, And but she was like, why don't you try this? She's like, why don't you go ahead and run this through your Lord instead of running it directly to the source, and see if you use your Lord as your conduit to get you to your finish line, and report back to me and let me know how well that goes. She's like, what do you got to lose? I'm like, okay. I can say this. I think the important thing is like just trying to find the establishment of your communication. Do you believe there's a God or whatever? Yes. Your communication with your God, do you have that? No. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of something that I guess that I need to develop, is how do I communicate with them and actually feel that I'm being heard, and vice versa, and am I hearing Him? Right? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, my struggle hasn't changed. Right? However, my perception of it has. Food for thought. Y'all be cool.